Hey everybody, I'm back with. I know I've been banging these episodes out, but it's not because I feel I want to load up my channel. I just things will come to me, and I'm like, okay, I can get this out of the way real quick. So there's a very tattered, very loved copy of Marvel Double Feature, which was the reprint title of Tales of Suspense, which featured half Captain America stories, half Iron Man stories. And so, I mean, this is like, you just gotta grab it off the stands. The stance that Gil Kane, the layout, the guy's all past that, inked by, I think, like, that tells me it's like Frank Giacoia. It could be Romita, but Romita's a touch lighter. And so here we go. We got a fill-in for Kirby. There was a couple fill-ins, oddly enough. Gil Kane did a couple issues where he pencil inked it, and for some, Stan had to have Kirby back on Cap. But this is actually Jack Sparling, who's kind of an elder statesman in comics, inked by Drew Geraci. Actually, this printed copy, it said inked by, and it was completely blank. So I thought, why not? And anyway, this guy, he has this laser, and he's he's a master planner. He's got that Liberace smile on, wild style. And so they are going to rob a bank using their super scientific sled and underground rails, and that's a very Liberace face there at the bottom. And this, I guess he's trying to do a Kirby floating heads thing, but it wasn't. Usually he has different sizes heads, and he doesn't do it in a horizontal panel. And what I loved about this is right about the same time Mego came out with the Captain America doll, action figure, and it was really cool. And they put that permanent black spot on his forehead, and I always liked it. And Sal Buscema did it all through his run. This idiot thinks he can outdo Cap. No. And he's like, I'll blast him. Came from underneath, baby. That's a great panel there. And he takes some, add final panels, exceptional. If Bucky lives. Ooh, another one. Now we go to the Triumph and the Tragedy. What's kind of odd is that this reprints, I can't even read it, it's so small. They weren't from the same book. Like, this was from later, like 6 months later, and this was from, I don't know why that happened. Titanium Man, one of my favorite bad guys. Designed by Don Heck, and Don did an amazing job where they fought on a neutral ground. He was for America, he was for the USSR, and it was like some publicized situation, and eventually Iron Man triumphed. And but Gene Colan, he really adds his own. I mean, he's somebody, I don't like his science fiction stuff that much because he tends to make aliens look like turnip heads. But I love those bulbous, things around his legs. Snap. And Gene Colan, Mr. Realistic. I love that first panel because when you were a comic book artist, way before JPEGs, the internet, all that stuff, an artist, a working artist, always had what they call a morgue. And a morgue is photos that you rip out of magazines or you just happen across them, and then you put them in a file cabinet, and it's called your morgue file. So he probably had a great photo for that. And man, Titanium Man looks so scared. What's great is he keeps doing them from an up angle. That's the best part. I love that Iron Man panel. Love it. And you're gonna get me. I'm the gingerbread man. Let me do this one more time. I love the old panel where Titanium's like, where did he go? Okay. Hang on. Okay. Takes him out, pulls a cable from his back, and he can't stay Still, can't balance, and he falls all of 10 feet, and he's defeated. So, it seems absurd, but back then, I didn't question it. So he's like, I'll use this Decinto ray and wipe him off the face of the earth, and it backfired. And here you go. So, anyway, Next Man. This is an interesting book. It's not great. It's not bad. Roger McKenzie, who had written Captain America for a year, and later on wrote Daredevil for a year with Frank Miller doing the art, and then Frank did his own writing. Vince Argandesi, I don't know where he's been since, but I really like his style. He's got that Kirby vibe going. That's Next Man. It looks a little. If it looks like RoboCop, well, RoboCop ripped him off because this came out well before RoboCop. We don't have to pick a side right now. Love that. Inks by Jerry Ordway. You'll see him on quite a few like indie books doing a cover too. This is issue 5. Kamiko was a really interesting company. They had 2 books from Matt Wagner. One was Mage, one was Grendel. And they also did Bill Williams' Elementals. They did some Gene Colan, like horror stories. And they also did, it was a Jezebel Jade miniseries. I think that Adam Kubert did. It was a character from Johnny Quest. Really, really amazing. I bought it, even though I'm not a Johnny Quest guy unless it's the cartoon, which was badass. Well, I was going to look at the previous issues and sort of say, what's going on. Well, he sort of has a Machine Man look, too, because he's pink or purplish. But there's not a lot of explanation here. And I just figured I'd show you this. Motorcycles are tough to draw, man. They're a real pain in the ass. Whee! Kirby leap. So... Now, bear in mind, not every issue is like that. There's usually a lot more discussion of what's going on, but this just happens. I love it. Hanging on. Bam, bam, bam. Great follow, Robotech, yeah. Translating Japanese. I love that helmet at the bottom. They're all dinged up. Really good look. So... I can't quite describe what's going on, but it's 6 issues and it's really worth getting. It's fun, super cheap on eBay, and that's it for now. Ooh, okay, good stuff. A man called Nova. I liked him from the moment I saw it. This came out like right before the 4th of July, 1976, the bicentennial. So when this came out, I was like, oh my god, this is great. This is like a 4th of July present. Buscema Senate cover. Just amazing. In the marvelous tradition of Spider-Man. Great costume. Marvel's newest bombshell. As opposed to Marvel's newest bomb. I don't want that to be there. John Buscema, Joe Sinnott did the first 2 issues to establish the field, and then Sal Buscema took over, and then in the second year, Carmen Infantino did whatever he does. I was very disappointed. And the origins even, like Green Lantern has kind of got an odd origin where the guy figures out the man with no fear to get the the ring for Green Lantern. This guy's dying. He's a Nova Corps character. He's got these powers. I must transfer my Centurion powers to someone there. Someone to take my fight as his. The pain cannot give into it. Must force myself. I must. There it is done. And I pray that whoever I've appointed, my successor, is worthy of the powers that are his. So, and what's odd is Marv Wolfman, the creator, who actually designed the character, and he was a kid, should not have just given this to Marvel. Should have held on to it because he don't own it. It's like he just made him a character. He's like, hey, I can make you a big hit. I got this character I did when I was a teenager. But what I didn't like is the personalities of the characters were so bland, like deadly dull and like predictable. So they all hang out at Uncle Fudge's ice cream parlor, and Wolfman was trying to do like, what was he trying to do? It's sort of like, I think he's trying to shoehorn Happy Days into the 1970s. Just getting all this info. And like, other than like the parents and the families that are there, they're not interesting. They only speak to move the story forward. So anyway, something's happening. I love that pose where he's spasming in the bed, and then he has his eye blast out, and he hits a doctor or something. And oh, thank the Lord that you're back with us. And it's like, no, he's not put somewhere to be studied. He just shot blasts out, And it's like, so far, they have not established that he's fully into the Marvel Universe. So that's very, very, that's where almost that issue should end. But look at the acting in this panel. And Buscema's just really got everybody just right. And the only difference between him and Peter Parker is he has bad grades, and I really related to that. So he was a schlub, and he had friends Caps Cooper, and this guy, I can't remember his name. So this bully has this girlfriend who's what I would call an enabler. He would smack Richie right, and she would go, "Oh my, don't hit him." One of those. So here comes Nova. Oh, that just blew me away. The costume is extremely striking. And this was like wish fulfillment. Zipping around. And he gets this crazy idea to go to a junkyard and crash through these cars. And I don't know why he thought he could do that, but maybe it's a subliminal thing that he got from that Nova Prime guy who gave up his powers. Boy, oh boy. I was like, I would love to be Nova. So here's the cast. Okay, it is Donald Lee Dover, who is Mike Burley's little pun on the guy being burly, like very burly figure. Barney Dillon's the only one I kind of like because he was Jewish and he used a lot of Yiddish terms that I hadn't heard of before, and he also had a pretty good sense of humor. He was kind of like the comedy relief to an extent, but he wasn't like frivolous. It's like if things were serious, he was serious, so he wasn't like a joke character. Ginger J, Caps Cooper, Charles Ryder, Gloria Ryder, who have zero personality. They all have zero. They are archetypes, and they serve no other purpose to advance the plot. That's the thing that drove me crazy. That first panel I love with the shadows. Another great Buscema panel. And Ginger J's hanging out with these two for whatever reason. I love that guy, Zor. But my only hang-up, what I really didn't like about this, cool stuff, but it was like Nova, when his thought balloon started coming along when he was Nova, he had like the same thought balloons as Daredevil or Captain America or Spider-Man, like all characters that are older than him. It's like they had this Borscht Belt sense of humor and cliches that he even thought that, and I love that. But yeah, so that's what killed it for me. I couldn't really, when it comes to stuff like school, I related, but the book I kept wanting to love it, but I didn't. But I loved it. How can I put it? It was like a disappointing love. I kept buying every issue of the great art. And Sal Buscema took over in the third issue, but then the second year, Carmen Infantino did it, and I dropped the book. It had gone bi-monthly. Now, here's an oddity. When I got this at the comic shop recently, out of the dollar bin, I thought this was an issue I was missing because there was a 3-issue miniseries of Dr. Fate that was pure reprint because DC and Marvel were doing these high-quality, hard, thick Baxter paper reprints, and the reprints had the first Dr. Fate story in the 70s done by Walt Simonson, and I think it was can't think of the guy's name anyway. And then later on, there were backup stories in Flash that had Keith Giffen art, so they filled out like 3 issues of it. But no, this is 87, right before or during Justice League 1, where it had the humorous, the Bwahaha era, and had this new guy, Kevin McGuire, just doing some amazing shit. And it was like in contrast to the heavy stuff that's in here. And James DeMatteis and Keith Giffen both worked on that. Dave Hunt is the inker, and you know what? I love Dave Hunter is one of those guys. Dave Hunt, not Hunter. What I like is he adds a little bit of depth to the stuff, the images and stuff. And at this point, I really hated seeing a lot of little, like, 9-panel grids where you couldn't tell what's going on, even with the color. But there's just a little bit of depth, like that last panel done by Dave Hunt. And he's always been good. I liked his stuff way back when. Like even that, he would have just done that flat, and then you'd be like, okay, what am I looking at here? It was very frustrating. It was cool, but it was also frustrating. So this is sort of the opposite of Next Man. There's just a lot of, I actually covered this because I showed part of his, his privates, because it's so daring. Really creepy stuff. And maybe if I had the whole mini-series, it'd be alright. I like that a lot. And Dave Hunt did a little zipatone there. Let's see if I can get that zoomed in. Hang on, everybody. Come on, don't do this to me. There it is. It's forming a moire pattern right now, which is when dots colored black kind of create this pattern that's not desirable. So, see, it's like I can make things out now. Even when this was colored, it was so frustrating. But it's still pretty cool. Like I said, Dave Hunt really makes it much more enjoyable. It just, that almost doesn't look like Hunt, Giffen at all, but Hunt just put a little bit of his mojo into it. So, Kamandi, Last Boy on Earth, I picked this up recently. I never bought it as a kid. I started collecting comics after Kirby had left, and they had a bunch of, filler artists here and there, and they didn't interest me. So, this was, I actually don't have all the issues yet, but it's Kirby and Royer, and this is the only Kirby DC comic from the first, from 71 to 70 to 74 that I didn't collect. I don't have all these issues. And it lasted longer. He did he did 40 issues or so, and then it lasted like 20 more issues with Jerry Conway and a variety of artists. And so, there you go. That's cool. Classic Kirby collage. And I love when he does water like that, splashing. Even the robots, Kirby just does something a little different. It makes them unique. That guy he just draws this in his head. That's what was the genius of Jack Kirby, and why there'll probably never ever be someone like that. I wish comics were more covered in the media back then, because it would have been great to spend a day with him and see him do 3 pages at once without even knowing what the next panel is going to be. I mean, that is really adventurous. Can't think of a lot of people who can do that. Like, not even a script, no layouts, he just did it. And there you go, the Killer Germ and the Shadow. I've shown that earlier on another episode. It might have been on my other channel, but that's good. Talk about contrast. You got the Kirby hard solid, blocky style. And then you have this real soft, nuanced style. Both great approaches. And speaking of approaches, dinner time's approaching. So I will talk to you all later. Let me know in the comments what you thought, what you liked, what you didn't like, if you thought I was full of shit, if you thought I was a genius. I'll take all comments, and I do not delete any of them. Please hit like and subscribe. Please subscribe. I want more subscribers, and I want as many comments at the bottom as possible, because I love reading the comments. I love getting, because I find extra things, and I also find different takes on things that I may not have thought of. You know what I mean? So that's it, everybody. Have a good day.